Good morning, everyone. This is a very interesting and very different session from the morning sessions which we are going through. This is about the conventional oil and gas sector. The sector which is not only the stem of our economy, but it is also driving us through, in our factories, in our transportation sector, and it is also part of our lot of dollars which we spend to ensure that country's energy is secured. Sanjay represents Reliance, and Reliance is one of the largest players in the oil and gas sector. Their KG Basin, one of the key epitomes of the gas exploration in the country. Mr. Ravi Bastia, we all know that he is the mastermind of the operations which Reliance did 2 decades back in that basin. Mr. Dev Adhikari, he was at that time in ONGC and rival to Reliance and very closely monitoring because they also had a block next door. Mr. Dev Adhikari is now part of IPI, AP. And we now will be talking not about the past, but about the future. Future where, the country as well as world is running towards the previous session, hydrogen. But present and the immediate future is in the gas. Mr. Bastia, if I can, start with you. India is spending a lot of money to secure oil. And gas, and you explored, KG Basin. But still, only 2 to 3 basins out of 22 are explored. We have not been able to explore, those plays. Help us in understanding that how do you see the India's progress should be in the next time, because globally the pressure is that fossil fuels need to be cut down. And we are a developing economy, and by 2047, Prime Minister envisaged that we have to be a $35 trillion economy. So oil and gas will play a big role. So how do you see things moving from here on?
Yeah, I have spent already more than 4 decades in this industry. I joined this industry at the age of 21, straightway coming out of IIT. And then worked in 27 countries, including India. So when we went to KG Basin, Sanjay was a young kid, and we all went to the deep water for the first time. And by then, the message was, Indian deep water is devoid of hydrocarbon, not only devoid of hydrocarbon, not a single drop or a bubble of gas lies in the Krishna-Godavari basin in the Bay of Bengal. So that was the backdrop in which we started our exploration in KG Basin. Friends, in my lifetime, I have had 5 such things which could disturb all the oil and gas professionals. That oil and gas era is going to be over soon. How soon, nobody predicts, but it is going to be over soon. So that has never happened. Whenever this has happened, some new discoveries or new epitome have come to the world. I have seen 3 cycles of petroleum in the entire global industry. The industry started with the rainforest. Like in India, it started with Digboi in Assam, in the forest on the land. Then the second wave went to the water, closer to the coast, not very deep, like our Bombay High was discovered. It was sometimes in the 1978 to 80. And then came the deep water, which I will not tell much because Sanjay holds the basin today. And that opened up the 3rd wave in India. So when you talk about what could be the future, out of all the sedimentary basin area in the country, we have seen one layer of it. Why I say this? Assam and Cambay, that Gujarat, they have been discovered at the earliest. They are more than 50, 60 years old now. But please believe me, today I am dealing with some of those basins, and every day we go to those basins for developing the oil and gas, we find new exploration targets. They found, with the technology, whatever was available to the then operators, some 2 hydrocarbon bearing layers. Today, when we probe that, we find 6. So there are some new wine in the old bottles in India, which needs to be addressed. And some of the basins where the hard rock didn't allow us to penetrate through to the deeper section could be the next frontier in India. So I think the hopes are not yet over, but the energy basket is going to be different. It will not be only oil and gas and coal anymore, as we have heard the previous speakers. I have some comments on that, but this is the scenario in India which I could perceive today. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are very few recipients of highest civilian awards in oil and gas sector. Ravi Bastia is one of them. And we are saving a lot of $1 billion because he spent a lot of time in the offshore KG Basin. Thank you, Mr. Bastia, for your insights. Now may I come to Sanjay. Sanjay, he has given us a good cursor to start with, especially about the offshore. But a lot of basins in India are onshore. But because of the complex operations and very, very complex regulatory and policy framework, we still have not been able to explore them. Now, country has come up with the OLP regime, and there are a lot of potential there. How do you see, how is Reliance visualizing this scenario?
Thanks, Anilesh. I think, as Dr. Bastia mentioned, if you really look at India and the exploration thus far, while a lot of progress has been made since the onset of NELP and the OLP, still there's a lot more exploration to be done. I mean, potentially 3/4 of India's basins are yet to be well explored. Now, let's come back to your specific question of onshore. We are talking about, plays like CBM, potential for shale, and so on. Now, these are all complex operations on land. The government, to that extent, through the policy framework, has enabled us to undertake operations over there. But what really is important for these plays to grow into real prospects and beyond prospects into production, which is what the country needs, is technology. And we have witnessed that. And I can tell you, in a play like CBM, when we looked at the technologies in the US shale gas, at the horizontal drilling technologies, multilateral, we have now implemented some of those solutions in CBM, and we are seeing that difference. So the principle out here is that, there is a lot more to be applied in terms of technology, but we are benefited when it comes to exploration and screening for opportunities. We are benefited with having a national data repository. We are benefited by having the OLP, where the contractors operators have the flexibility of selecting acreages. So all of this, the government has enabled. Now, the challenge in India will be, the cost framework, because a lot of the supply chain doesn't exist in India. You are actually, the technology providers reside overseas, globally. So to that extent, it will be important to have a collaborative framework. It's not that only one operator or a few operators will be able to solve. It has to be collaboration between government and contractors. It has to be collaboration between technology providers within the industry players themselves. So collaboration is going to be an extremely important facet. The other aspect that is very important to encourage investments is going to be having the balance, the parity between costs, which is market-driven, and prices. And if that is there, then the investors will be encouraged to take that risk to go ahead and invest in new technologies and new capital expenditures in these areas. And many of these areas are going to be frontier areas that Dr. Bastia mentioned. There's still a lot to do in offshore, deep water, as well as on land. A lot more acreages to be explored. Yeah. And my own sense is, just to add another point, is, with the growth that India is seeing, the demand for energy is expected to double in the next 15 to 20 years. Whilst it is, our Prime Minister has defined a responsible transition for us by saying that, okay, by 2070, we should be achieving net zero. He's also given us a perspective on gas, which is 15% of India's energy mix should be gas. Now, this means that a lot more investments are required. And renewable energy will not be just able to take the load of meeting these energy requirements. It has to be a combination of both fossil fuel exploration and production as well as renewables.
Thank you, Sanjay. Dev Adhikari ji, since now you are into a different role altogether at FIPPI, but still, I want to understand from you. You have spent a lot of time in, strategy making as well. Globally, the pressure is that, India and several emerging economies need to cut down on fossil fuel as well as its exploration. Then, we look at that next, in 15, 20 days, we'll be having a COP round also. Again, global lobbies would be putting us a pressure on. Do you think that India has time to explore the new sedimentary basins? Do you think India has time to explore oil and gas? Or do you think that, the focus now should be on, the place like, renewables and hydrogen, and we gradually need to cut down on gas? What is your thought process on this?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. First of all, let me say sorry that I have filled up a blank, which was supposed to be occupied by Mr. D.K. Saraf, former chairman ONGC and former chairman PNGRB. So little before 11 o'clock in the night yesterday, Anilesh called me that Mr. Saraf has fallen sick. So he has proposed your name. So I was quite...
And I'm really thankful and sorry that I disturbed you at midnight.
So
and I'm really glad that you came.
And then Mr. Saraf has suggested my name, so it's a very proud moment. So while I wish him speedy recovery, I thank for this opportunity that I'm sharing dais with respectable personality like Dr. Ravi Bastia or Mr. Barman Roy. Coming to your question, before that, those who do not know, I am from FIPPI, Federation of Indian Petroleum Industry. It is basically the voice of the Indian oil and gas industry, both upstream, downstream companies. So all these companies are members, public sector, private sectors, all. I've recently joined as Director Exploration and Production. So my job is advocacy for this upstream industry, that is oil and gas exploration and production. So while you are saying that the situation is like that, today is saying something about oil is almost like sinful thing. Everywhere it is green, net zero, everything. But you look at the reality, at the global level, oil and gas is going to be more than 50% in the energy basket, even in the year of 2050. In India, if you see the report of Niti Aayog, India Energy Security Scenario, in 2047, our oil and gas percentage in the primary energy basket is going to be more than 35%. Currently, it is about 30 plus, so it is going to increase even. So what do we do? Oil and gas industry, particularly the upstream industry of India, has to have a brighter future. Has to have a brighter future. Given the kind of volume we import, given the kind of import bill that the country incurs, given the geographies from which we are sourcing our oils, perpetually they are disturbed. Perpetually they are uncertain, imbalanced. So the focus has to be more on domestic oil and gas exploration and production. Government of India is well aware of this reality. They are coming up with many, enabling, empowering provision. The biggest one, I would say, on this 5th August, Honorable Minister, Petroleum Minister, Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri, has put up the Order 2024 bill in the Rajya Sabha. That is Oil Field Regulation and Development Act. It was actually 1948 bill. So lot of suggestions, improvement, enabling and empowering factors have been incorporated in these bills. As Mr. Barman Roy was saying about this OLP also, lot of enabling and empowering provisions have been created since OLP 8. 9th round is on the anvil. But still, I believe, this is not adequate. If we look back, 9 rounds of NELP had awarded 70 odd blocks covering 15 lakh square kilometer from 2000 to 2012. 9 round of OLP is going to be completed this year from 2016 to 2024. 172 blocks going to be awarded if 28 proposed for this 9th round is materialized, whereby we will be covering only 4 lakh square kilometer. So out of 42 billion ton of prognosticated reserve, we have only established 11.8 billion ton so far. So I would say there is enough opportunity, huge opportunity in the domestic area, onshore, offshore, deep water, shallow water, everywhere. Only thing, we have to make the operators, investors, more enable, more ease of doing business friendly. Then I think we'll be able to provide the essential affordable energy for the country. Definitely, this oil and gas industry has to adopt more environment-friendly measures with high energy, that is less energy intensity, that is energy consumed per barrel of oil, and lesser carbon intensity. With this, I say, there are huge opportunities. Please come forward for this industry. We are going to be environment friendly. We will be producing more and more oil and gas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adhikari. Sanjay, if you can tell us, if we have to bring a lot of players on board, especially onshore, it has to be through CBM, shale, and those type of complex exploration methods, right? And that has to be done by smaller players, as we have seen in the US also. Do you think that government or maybe larger player like Reliance has some role to play, or how can we bring them on board and make them part of country's exploration story? What is your thought on this?
So, like I said, collaboration and partnerships will have to define the way forward. And this is across. Now, we do realize the complexities, like Mr. Adhikari mentioned, we've had 270 blocks in NELP, and we are aware of what kind of successes we've had. It would have been much nicer to have had more discoveries, larger discoveries, but that's not always the case. Now the question is, even if you have smaller discoveries, even if you have medium-sized discoveries, and even your exploration strategy for that matter, you might be looking for the big bang theory, the biggest, like in Guyana and Namibia, but that may not happen always. So what you really need to do is recalibrate your approach and see how do you monetize even the smaller pools, which when aggregated, will give you, that production augmentation. But for that, there are certain things we need to do. So one collaboration, partnership. Second is the technology that we employ, like AI, ML, as an example, applied to the data, the vast amounts of data that we have. That will help you understand the subsurface a lot better. When you go to offshore, you have techniques such as subsea compression, subsea processing. Again, technology that will help you to save costs, and allow you to monetize smaller pools. There are ideas which are implemented already which are in practice in the North Sea and the Gulf of Mexico as an example, wherein you have common hub infrastructures, wherein smaller, medium-sized discoveries can be brought on stream. And the government and the industry players have worked together to build this common infrastructure. What it allows is the smaller, medium-sized discoveries to be piggybacked or tied back to this infrastructure so that they can be brought on in a more capital efficient and a commercially viable way. So there have to be novel approaches. It cannot be, there's not one single way of getting it right. There's got to be different methods, but techno-commercially we have to innovate, So, like Mr. Adhikari mentioned, this flexibility, this adaptability has to come in, if we want to make the best of exploration, B, the resources we have, and develop and produce these resources. So that's, in my opinion, that's going to be the big change that we need. More collaborations, more partnerships, as well as, working with the government to make things happen.
Mr. Bastia, if I can bring you in this conversation, when you were exploring KG or in your prior role as a senior resource in ONGC, you must be exploring many of these onshore basins. At that time, the race was for looking for some bigger finds, which you successfully found in KG Basin. But do you think, India's onshore, especially shale and CBM, which have now matured across the world, has some future? Or the suggestion which Sanjay is making that there has to be a common platform and which can be shared with many of the players. Do you think, more innovations can be made? Or what is your thought process in this?
Yeah, I am an eternal optimist, but I will be very practical today. The quality of the coal seam, which we are addressing today for the CBM exploration and exploitation, is much inferior to the coal seams which are present elsewhere, especially in the US, Sanjay Basin, Black Warrior, as compared to their gas content, their cleanliness, and the potential to absorb and dissolve gas are much higher. But that doesn't mean that we don't have CBM potential in India. The potential is lesser than that of those type of coal, but we have vast areas which are yet to be seen. And we have been looking for some 500, 600 meters initially. Now Sanjay knows we are going much beyond 1,000 meters in the CBM exploration, because some of those coal seams in India are there which are quite thick and better than the surface coals. So those are the areas which could be attractive in future. As far as the shale gas exploration, again, the concentration of the shale kitchen is very limited. So we have seen some of them, especially in the Assam-Arakan Basin, but hopefully the areas which we will go for inland exploration could be Ganga Basin, could be in the Himalayan foothills, which have a vast area and they have all the ingredients of petroleum accumulation systems. But I will try to digress on the inland while we do it. We have talked much about the green hydrogen, and people are really talking much, and we are all excited about green hydrogen. But the thing which will catch the entire imagination of the world, to my mind, will be white hydrogen. White hydrogen is a naturally occurring hydrogen, and there is no end to it. It happens through the ultramafic rocks and hydrothermal fluid, which is naturally occurring all through, and it will be occurring all through. And where are they located? They are located in the same areas like our oil and gas are located.
So these are independent hydrogen molecules?
Independent hydrogen, they are stored in the subsurface reservoirs. But today, I don't know how to really locate that and how to really see it. In hydrocarbon, I wanted to really bring this topic here in front of you because after I die, probably this will be the scenario for our future generation. And this hydrogen, which is occurring in the subsurface, the technology which will come to detect it, like in the oil and gas, we detect through the logging techniques. And we do the seismic to see where the hydrocarbon is located. Such technologies are not yet finalized in this perspective, but there are few basins where this white hydrocarbon has been commercially found. We have the case history. Now the country should take a look into this, and all the hydrocarbon players should keep a small domain of their R&D to these activities. This is one area. And we talk about carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration has been really talked rather than been done in this country. We have tremendous area, tremendous reservoirs where carbon could be captured. We have to catch the carbon, capture it, and then store it. The three components where a lot of studies have taken place, we have huge areas where the endangered carbon could be stored there. So that is another area which the hydrocarbon industry, while doing exploration, cleaner form of exploration, would think white hydrogen and the carbon sequestration. So these two areas, to my mind, will be some of our future attention in terms of R&D.
But actually, you have given a very good food for thought that how naturally hydrogen can be captured. And have you done some studies into it, or because the world is chasing hydrogen? And
I am involved with some universities outside, and in fact, 17th and 18th, EPES, there is a energy summit on white hydrogen. I am the chief guest there, so I will reserve some of those things. I will not disclose it today. So after 18th, if you invite me, I will tell you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bastia, I'm really grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this wonderful conversation.